Which Genovese Crime Family gangster hated Gambino Mobster Neil Dellacroce? Let's check it out. I'm James Gladwish and welcome to OC Shorts, bringing you detailed historical snapshots of the American Mafia and other organised crime. Feel free to subscribe if you like that sort of thing. Today, we're going to take a quick look at a rivalry between a Genovese mobster and Neil Dellacroce. Feared Gambino Crime Family mobster Neil Dellacroce was a powerful figure in organised crime, who was a dominant figure in the Little Italy area of Manhattan. Sources indicate that Dellacroce had a rivalry with another mobster around Mulberry Street and surrounding areas. This man was Genovese family gangster Peter DeFeo. Dellacroce operated out of the infamous Ravenite Social Club on Mulberry Street, and Peter DeFeo ran the Alto Night Social Club on Kenmare Street, a couple of blocks away. Some sources often erroneously state that the Alto Night Social Club was the original name of the Ravenite Club, but in fact they were two separate locations, as I've covered in a previous video. Before Dellacroce and DeFeo developed their dislike for each other, the pair of mobsters from different crime families had actually been close. And, according to FBI files, Peter DeFeo actually saved Dellacroce's life on two separate occasions. After mob boss Albert Anastasia was assassinated in 1957, his crime family split into two factions. One faction supported Carlo Gambino, who had been installed as boss on a provisional basis, and the other faction was made up of mobsters who were loyal to their slain boss Albert Anastasia. This faction comprised of the likes of Armand Tommy Rava and Aniello Neil Dellacroce. According to an informant, during the period after Anastasia's murder, Neil Dellacroce survived an attempt on his life, and an active contract was still in place from the Gambino faction to have Dellacroce killed. As one FBI file states, he indicated that Pete DeFeo saved the life of Aniello Dellacroce. He said that the killers of Anastasia shot at Dellacroce and had a contract for him, but that Dellacroce was able to avoid a hit initially and got to Pete DeFeo, who settled the matter. As can be seen from the file, after Dellacroce had been shot at, he reached out to Genovese Crime Family mobster Peter DeFeo, who then helped get the contract cancelled on Dellacroce. In September 1961, Neil Dellacroce was famously beaten savagely by members of the Gallo Crew in Luna Restaurant. As one FBI file states, on September 21, Aniello Dellacroce was dining at the Luna Restaurant in Lower Manhattan when he was suddenly attacked by a gang of Gallo strong-arm men. Beaten and kicked unmercifully, he suffered severe injuries and reportedly would have been killed if some of Vito Genovese's soldati had not intervened and stopped the attack. I've covered this event in greater detail in previous videos. As we saw from the FBI file, it was members of Vito Genovese's crime family who stepped in and saved Dellacroce from potentially being killed in the beating. The FBI recorded a conversation between Gambino family mobster Frank Barranca and Genovese mobster Mike Clemente, where they discussed the beating of Neil Dellacroce. In the transcript of the recording, Mike Clemente is listed as the subject. The transcript reads, Frank, yeah, they did it wrong. Clemente, yeah, they did it wrong. Now, here's a guy. If it wasn't for a couple of guys with us, that's with Pete DeFeo, the old man would have been killed. Aniello. If they weren't there, they would have killed him on the floor. Frank, a couple of guys with Pete. Clemente, yeah. So, according to Genovese Crime Family mobster Mike Clemente, it was members of Peter DeFeo's crew that intervened and saved the life of Gambino captain Neil Dellacroce when he was attacked by the Gallo Crew. And so, as we can see from these two examples, Peter DeFeo and Neil Dellacroce had been friends. Close enough that Dellacroce reached out to DeFeo when he was shot at after the Anastasia hit. Some sources even state that the pair met regularly at each other's social clubs. So, why did a rivalry develop between the two mafia heavyweights? According to an FBI file, the rift occurred in 1963, when either Peter DeFeo or Neil Dellacroce stopped several planned hits that one of them had arranged. The FBI file states, Pete DeFeo, whom informant describes as a big boss, has recently had or is having a falling out, described by informant as a big beef, with another boss by the name of Neil. Reportedly either Pete or Neil had been involved in a contract to hit several people, and the other has had this contract put aside. As a result, very bad feelings now exist between these individuals. So it appears that the two former friends fell out after one of them intervened and stopped several hits that the other had planned, with the informant stating, as a result, very bad feelings now exist between these individuals. In addition, it appears that powerful Genovese family mobsters Peter DeFeo and Tommy Ryan Eboli were angered by Dellacroce insulting mobsters who weren't affiliated with him. One FBI file states, informant stated that Dellacroce and Pete DeFeo are on the outs with each other. Informant stated that Dellacroce is considered a hothead who will tell anybody off. Often, Dellacroce will insult people not belonging to him, and when they report back to Pete DeFeo or Tommy Ryan, then DeFeo and or Ryan become upset with Dellacroce. And so, from around this point in 1963, Genovese Crime Family captain Peter DeFeo, a man known as the Mayor of Little Italy, developed a hatred of Gambino mobster Neil Dellacroce. Interestingly, some sources indicate that over time, DeFeo and Dellacroce put their differences aside. In the comments below, let me know your thoughts on the topic covered in this video. I hope you found that interesting. Thanks for watching.